Lesson 22. We finished with Sutra 20 in the previous session. So Chapter 2, Sutra 1 to 20 is the introduction of Nadishodhana Pranayama. Pranayama in general, and then Nadishodhana. We now skip and start reading from Sutra 39. Why? Sutra 21 to 38 we read already. That was about Kriya. So after Nadishodhana Pranayama is introduced, Sutra 21 says, if you're not in the right condition yet, here you have something that can help you. So we have read that already, and we will finish the chapter, or we will finish the section of the introduction of Pranayama, starting with Sutra 39. Even Brahma and the other gods devoted themselves to the practice of pranayama because of the fear of death. So one should practice control of energy. Some very interesting aspect here. The fear of death is the fear of tamas, not physical death. But this sutra says God, Brahma, even practices pranayama. And even also the other gods. What does this mean? This is something that you find especially in holy books that describe a philosophy of life. To understand that better in a practical way, this sutra is a symbolical way of telling that you are looking at something significant here. This is an exercise not to be ignored because of its value. And they do that symbolically by referring to God. To understand that better, why are cows in India holy animals? Have you ever thought about that? Why are cows holy? There's a very practical reason behind that. The government at some point declared cows holy to imprint on the farmers the importance of their cow. Cows are not holy. But what happened on a regular basis was that the country was hit by a drought. Farmers lost their harvest and they ended up with a famine. They had nothing to eat. But they had this big cow that would help them plow the field and pull the cart. And since they had nothing to eat, they would slaughter their cow so that at least they would have something to eat. But then the problem arose that when they would have to go back to the field again to start sowing the seeds and plowing and harvesting, they didn't have a cow anymore. And that was a big problem, not only for the farmers, but for the community. So community leaders declared the cow holy, punishable by law if you slaughter your cow. A river, there are many rivers in the world that when we read about it, there is, tradition has it that these rivers are holy. Why are they holy? There is no God swimming in that river or something. A river is holy because it contains life. We now go to the supermarket to get what we need, but that didn't exist hundreds of years ago. All settlements were close to water, a lake, a river, or the coast, because it brings life. You need water to drink. You need water to water the crop, to water the fields. You need, there's fish swimming. So water is important. But what do people do? They dump all their trash in the river. They shit in it, they wash in it. And the same water that we drink and use for our daily life is then being rendered unusable. So it was declared holy. And something that is holy has to be treated with respect, so that people would just stop dumping their trash and everything into the river. And there are other examples. I grew up in Europe. Children grow up with fairy tales about evil wolves. Why are wolves evil? When you grow up constantly being told fairy tales about wolves being evil and eating little children and other innocent lambs, you truly start believing that wolves are evil and need to be exterminated. And that's exactly what we have done in Europe. We have exterminated all the wolves from the environment. Now they are slowly coming back, but for more than 100 years they've been non-existent. Why? We killed them all. But why do we grow up for hundreds or maybe thousands of years indoctrinated that wolves are evil? Because they compete with us for food. And now that we go to the supermarket, that is not such a big problem. But in the past, the wolf eating our livestock, the sheep that we keep, the chickens that we raise, if a pack of wolves comes into the village or the settlement and eats all my chickens or all my sheep, that's a big disaster. So we declared them evil. And there are all these examples, very interesting. It's a very practical reason. Islam has declared pigs impure. But are they impure? Like the holy cow in India, declaring the pig impure has nothing to do with God. Very practical reason. Goats, horses, cows, chicken, all the other livestock that we know, they eat grass, they eat leaves. But what do pigs eat? They eat the carrots that we plant, the potatoes that we plant. They eat our food, they are our competitors, like the wolves are our competitors. So we declare them impure. Here you have an example of this. Pranayama is even something that the gods practice because they fear death. It's just a symbolical way to say, here you're looking at something significant. Do not ignore this. Sutra 40. So long as the energy is restrained in the body, so long as the mind is calm and steady, so long as the vision is directed to the center of the eyebrows, why should there be fear of death? Replace fear of death with tamas. This is about vital energy. This is about the condition in which energy rises up through Sushumna Nadi, fueling the crown chakra. As long as you're focused, as long as you do not allow your energy to be scattered, there will be sufficient amounts of energy to feed, to fuel the crown chakra. That is what this sutra is telling us. Death is nada. Death is tamas. It is the condition, tamas, where no energy is rising to fuel the higher chakras. 41. When the Nadi chakra has been purified by a properly regulated course of pranayama, the energy forces open the mouth of the Sushumna and easily enter it. The Nadi chakra is the entirety of all the energy channels. Nadi Shodhana pranayama is the exercise that purifies the channels. This sutra is telling us that as a natural consequence of you starting to practice pranayama, accelerating energy through the nadis, cleansing the obstacles that everybody carries with them in their energy channels, the phenomenon of Sushumna Nadi, where the energy rises up fueling the higher chakras, is a very natural consequence of that. So it's a natural occurrence. Nothing complicated. All you have to do is follow the instructions to do the exercise properly. 42. When the energy flows through the Sushumna, the mind becomes steady. The steadiness of the mind is a state called manonmani or unmani. The mind becoming steady is the contemplative state in which you see things, in which insight occurs, in which you possess wisdom and intuition. The steadiness of the mind is the state called manonmani or unmani. Remember unmani? The 3-syllable mantra of the crown chakra. So unmani or manonmani is directly referring to the crown chakra being active. 43. To attain it, those who know the procedure practice various sorts of kumbhakas. By practice of the various kumbhakas, diverse siddhis are obtained. To attain it is, of course, the functioning of the crown chakra. Those who know the procedure are those who are properly initiated into yoga by somebody who knows the secrets behind all this. Diverse siddhis are obtained. The supernatural, paranormal abilities start manifesting. 44. The different kumbhakas are now described. There are 8 kumbhakas, namely Suryabhedana, Ujjayi, Shitkari, Shitali, Bhastrika, Brahmari, Murcha, and Plavini. Out of those, in this course, you will learn Suryabhedana, Ujjayi, Shitkari, and Shitali. The other 4, Bhastrika, Brahmari, Murcha, and Plavini, are taught in the advanced course. You see that he doesn't refer to the exercises as pranayamas or pranayama exercises. He calls them kumbhakas in Sutra 43, Sutra 44. Then we have Sutra 45. At the end of influx, Puraka, the Jalandhara Bandha should be practiced. At the end of kumbhaka and at the beginning of efflux, Rechaka, Uddiyana Bandha should be practiced. Now, this is a little bit confusing because it suggests that you do not just apply the throat lock and the root lock during the kumbhaka, during the retention stage only. So I contacted Ajita to clarify, and he said, you can ignore this sutra. This sutra is designed to sow confusion to the uninitiated people reading the text. You see that coming back. Many of the sutras are constructed in such a way that if you're not taught properly about the meaning of them, it doesn't contain any practical, useful information. It's just a mysterious text that you cannot understand. So we do the bandhas during the kumbhaka. 46. Contracting the throat in the Jalandhara Bandha and the anus in the Mula Bandha at the same time, and drawing back the abdomen in the Uddiyana Bandha, the energy flows through the Sushumna And then between brackets, Brahmanadi, the divine channel. That is the third channel that lets energy rise up to fuel the crown chakra. The third bandha I haven't explained yet because I wanted to keep it simple with the introduction. It's already complicated enough. The third bandha is also a natural occurrence. When you are focused, you erect naturally, you tuck in the chin just a little, and you have the throat chakra. Because you have your pelvis actively tilted, the pelvic bottom muscles are gently engaged, which constitutes the root lock, throat lock, root lock. Uddiyana bandha is about the abdomen. So there are people who then pull in their abdomen very deliberately, like as if they, in the same way as they squeeze their pelvic bottom muscles very strongly. That is not the bandha. When you sit straight, your abdomen naturally pull in. So you do not have to do that deliberately, just as you don't have to deliberately lock the throat and the bottom. These three bandhas are subtle. They are not really gross physical actions. They are already in place. Well, most people don't even realize it as a result of you sitting straight as a pencil. 47, raising the apana upwards, the prana should be brought downwards from the throat. The yogin then becomes a youth of 16, freed from old age. Uddiyana bandha, on a subtle level, the third bandha, activates, stimulates the generation of energy in those three lower chakras, making a big ball of vital energy that leads to excellent health and the phenomenon of energy rising up. Shakti alone leads to restlessness. So while that energy is rising up, it is met by a flow of Shiva that descends. Remember the Star of David in the heart chakra, which reflects the rising of the energy from the bottom, met with the energy descending from the top. Becoming a youth of 16 freed from old age, that is symbolism, of course, but it means in practical terms that you will be healthier, more vital than people the same age who don't do this kind of practice. Questions? Sutra 48 is the introduction of Surya Bedana Pranayama, so we will come back to that in a couple of weeks. Next week we will start reading chapter 1 from the beginning to the end. Okay, short break.
Eso me quedé callando.